Happening now at 4 apartments and cars flooded with more rain on the way. People in parts of the metro could see a repeat.
A shooting spree spans 2 locations. Now hear from a witness to the gunfire who even pulled his own gun.
Then another hat in the ring for the White House. The latest candidate in the running now for the GOP nomination. The news at 4 starts right now.
CBS 46 News at 4 starts now.
And good afternoon to you. We're glad you're with us. I'm Scott Light.
And I'm Stephanie Fisher. Let's head outside. A mix of clouds, sun, and rain in some neighborhoods. We're seeing it all this afternoon. But things could be changing a little later. Let's check in with the man who's tracking it all, our chief meteorologist, Jim Kosick.
Yeah, severe weather is going to be held to an absolute minimum, isolated, you would say. So that is the great news. Nonetheless, there are heavy pockets of rain with any thunderstorm, the worst of which southeast of Atlanta. And that's exactly where they're going to stay for the remainder of this afternoon into early this evening, where we don't have the rain. Temperatures are getting back into the 80s. There's another pocket right along I-59 in Alabama that we're going to watch, encroaching upon some of the west central and northwestern counties as we go through time, sometime after about 6 or 7 o'clock this evening. You can see the steering movement here for the winds southwest to northeast at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. And this is what we call thunderstorm training. Much like a train has boxcar after boxcar after boxcar, this is thunderstorm after thunderstorm after thunderstorm in the same area. That's why it rains for several hours in some spots south and southeast of the city. The lion's share of that wet weather, that's where we have the highest potential for isolated flash flooding. Wind gusts, mostly non-severe. Lightning and hail, certainly not out of the realm of possibility, but held down. As we head on in through tomorrow, the severe weather risk is going to be isolated in the green shade area. Yes, that includes all of us. But again, let me reiterate, isolated. Our biggest concern throughout the course of today before storms diminish. And again, tomorrow, Stephanie and Scott, will be those pockets of heavy rain. More on that coming up in just a little bit. Scott?
Well, you know, we'll continue the theme here. We want to talk about those flooded out apartments and cars, and with more rain possibly on the way, people in parts of the metro area certainly worried about a repeat. Now, property owners are rapidly searching for a fix. CBS 46's Dante Carter is working this story for us. He is live at a Midtown apartment complex right now. Dante.
Yeah, Scott, and there was a lot of rain out here, and I'm told it rose to about 5 feet in some of the areas, and there's a lot of cleanup going on around here as they work to get this place back together. 25 apartments were damaged. You can see just over here how a lot of that water floated some cars on top of the other. I spoke with one of the property owners today, and he said some of this could have been avoided if they could get a call back from the city. The bottom of where 4 hills converge, where every drop of rain is a drop too much.
My family is staying in somebody else's place and I don't have a place to stay, and I've lost all my things.
Residents lost everything when floodwaters moved in Sunday, floating cars out of parking spots at 251 North Apartments.
This time was so severe that even a 3-foot wall that was built along this stretch because of this problem was overwhelmed and buckled.
Woody Root, Senior Vice President with Vista Realty Partners, told me they've owned the property just shy of 12 months. He says nearly a dozen times they've reached out to the city to help them fix this problem.
And they've been contacted numerous times, not just by us, but by previous owners.
He pointed out what he says is the problem. The city's drainage pipe the water goes into on North Avenue not being able to handle the water coming in.
The problem is the city's unwilling to correct a problem that's been going on for the last 25 years.
City engineers were out looking at the pipe today. Lillian Govis with the city says there's no easy fix because of where the apartment complex is located.
It is a place where the water is going to come.
A problem taking its biggest toll on the residents.
Having to leave the apartment with water up over my knee is not very nice.
And I'm told only 3 apartments are expected to not be finished by the end of tonight. Those residents have all been put up in a hotel by the property owners here, but I'll tell you just what they say their solution is to all of this and why the city believes it won't work. I'm putting that story together for you at 6 o'clock. For now, live in Midtown Atlanta, Dante Carter, CBS 46 News.
We'll see you at 6, Dante. That heavy rain and flash flooding caused some big traffic troubles over the weekend.
And with more storms in the forecast, CBS 46's Melinda Roeder is keeping an eye on the sky and also on local creeks and rivers. She's live inside the CBS 46 Weather Lab. So, Melinda, where are you now? Tell us what you're seeing out there.
Right now we're on I-75 headed north, and let's go ahead and take a look at the roads. You can see conditions are dry and it's mostly sunny, although there are a few dark clouds out there in the sky, but traffic seems to be moving normally right now. We are headed to the area around Smyrna and Sandy Springs because at last check on the radar, it looked like they were maybe having some showers that could be moving in quickly. Now, traffic on the local rivers and creeks, though, is a very different story. Water levels are higher than usual right now on the Chattahoochee and also in tributaries like Lake Windward. In some spots, in fact, the water is about to crest and it's closing in on some low-lying roads and even on the trails. Right off Webb Ridge Road, Big Creek is living up to its name.
No, I just trying to beat the rain. I look at the forecast, try to run at lunch.
Water levels have been inconsistently rising over the last week.
When it's a very hard rain, yes.
Flooding out portions of the Alpharetta Greenway.
There can be 6 inches or more of water on the trail.
So is it clear? Are we good to go?
With more rain lurking in the forecast.
I can tell, I can feel it.
You can feel it?
Like the humidity.
Joggers and cyclists came out early, hoping to get their workouts in before the downpour.
We can handle it? Yeah, I think I can jump.
So if you're headed out onto the water or if you're headed anywhere near the water, use extra caution this evening and watch out for flash flooding. With storm drains unable to handle the deluge, water can back up really just about anywhere. And again, we are experiencing some light showers closing in here in areas around Smyrna and Sandy Springs. That's what we're headed. But other than that, things are dry right now and traffic is moving as normal. Live in the CBS 46 Weather Lab, I'm Melinda Roeder. Back to you.
All right, Melinda, thank you. Now to a sight rarely seen here in Metro Atlanta as flash flooding sent drivers on the connector seeking higher ground. The storms yesterday were so bad, you may have seen this. They ended up shutting down the interstate for nearly an hour. CBS 46's Natalie Tejeda went out looking for answers today into what caused the storm drains to malfunction.
Officials with GDOT say it was garbage like this, clogging up our storm drains. That was one of the biggest contributors to yesterday's flooding. As 2 cars float stranded in high waters, dozens more stacked up on the water's edge, seemingly trying to figure out where to go or what to do next. For hundreds, if not thousands of people, the shutdown of this busy downtown connector, it was total chaos.
We had up to 50-mile-per-hour winds along with a heavy downpour in a concentrated area. And so Mother Nature played her part in causing debris to get onto our drains. And so right now we're just cleaning up behind that.
We caught up with a very busy Georgia Department of Transportation crew. They've been up and down 85 cleaning and clearing storm drains. It doesn't matter if it's lawn clippings, an old tire, or trash. In a storm like yesterday and the ones planned all week, all piled together, it can clog storm drains.
Normally there are going to be leaves, branches, there's going to be some litter, a few signs, and so, like I said, we will clean the drains as needed, and this time, we're cleaning up after yesterday's storm.
And Sunday's flooding caused a big mess.
This is most certainly a unique situation, but the positive side of this is that the downtown connector was flooded for about 30 to 40 minutes and we were able to get it cleared, and luckily it happened on a Sunday afternoon instead of a Monday afternoon, and that kept down with the amount of accidents.
Although we haven't had any rains yet today, GDOT crews have been out all day clearing any debris from storm drains in preparation for today's storms, just to ensure we don't have any kind of situation like yesterday in Midtown. Reporting here in Midtown, Natalie Tejeda, CBS 46 News.
To keep track of the weather in between our newscasts, check out the CBS 46 Weather app. It's free to download for your Apple or your Android devices.
Happening today, jury selection is underway in the brand new trial of suspended DeKalb County CEO Burl Ellis. He walked into the courtroom this morning, again on trial for a second time, seeming confident. Ellis is the the highest ranking elected official in DeKalb County. He was suspended by the governor after allegedly pressuring companies that did business with the county to contribute to his re-election campaign, a so-called pay-to-play scheme. His original trial last fall ended with a hung jury, but got a lot of publicity.
The purpose of this process, as I said, is to ensure that a fair and impartial jury is selected for both the defendant and the state.
Here's the timeline. We expect that jury selection could last all week. By the way, Ellis is continuing to get his paycheck as the CEO of DeKalb County. His annual salary, $157,000 a year.
Covering the counties for you now. Let's go to Gwinnett County, where we're getting a look at former Atlanta Falcons player Prince Shimbo being booked into the jail. He turned himself in Friday and then bonded out later that night. Shimbo is accused of kicking his ex-girlfriend's dog to death in April. The Falcons have since dropped the linebacker. Let's go to Cobb County, where we're getting a look at the man accused of killing another man at a graduation party. Police in Marietta say Lintrell Gilbert stabbed John Benson repeatedly on Saturday night during a party in Laurel Park. That's on Manning Road. Benson died at the hospital. Gilbert is charged with murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. He's in the Cobb County Jail.
Now let's take you to Fulton County. Atlanta police say a 32-year-old woman died when her car crashed in the southeast neighborhood. Police say Jocelyn Dorsey was driving north on Jonesboro Road when she lost control. She crashed through a fence and then landed in the parking lot of an apartment complex on Vineyards Drive. Dorsey died there at the scene. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Happening tomorrow. Georgia Power executives will be in the hot seat over the cost and also delays in building a new nuclear plant in our state. Regulators are kicking off a series of oversight hearings tomorrow, so they will focus on the construction of 2 nuclear reactors at Plant Vogtle in eastern Georgia. The group will decide whether to approve Georgia Power's funding over the second half of this year. Also, is it time to regulate drones? Well, singer Enrique Iglesias might be posing that very question tonight. See what happened to him during a weekend concert. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Also coming up next.
More now on a developing story out of Conyers, where a security camera has captured chilling video of a man who was on a wild shooting spree inside a liquor store. Among the victims, customers there, employees of the store, and even this man's mother and father. CBS 46's Dante Renzulli has been following this story. He joins us live from Rockdale County with how one witness tried to defend himself.
Well, Stephanie, the press conference is about to start here at the Rockdale County Sheriff's Department. That's where we're going to get some more information about what all transpired here yesterday afternoon. But they since released this surveillance video that shows the chilling encounter of this gunman and the people inside this store. They say that he went in there, didn't give them any warning whatsoever, and just started shooting everyone in sight, employees and customers alike. Some of the customers were running for their lives, trying to get away from him, and he was still firing as they ran away. One customer tried to fight back. He tried to shoot. He had a gun on him, and he tried to shoot back at the suspect, but he wasn't able to hit him, and the man ended up back at his house, and he shot his parents before it was all over. He ended in a gunfight with police. Now, we're going to step into this press conference very shortly here and get you some more updates coming up later in the shows. We're live in Rockdale County. Dante Renzulli, CBS 46 News.
Dante, we'll see you a little bit later. Now let's take a look at what's making news across America. We are waiting for word on funeral arrangements for Beau Biden. Vice President Biden's oldest son died Saturday of brain cancer. He was only 46. He was a father of 2. He was Delaware's former attorney general. He was also planning to run for governor. President Obama and the First Lady paid a visit to the Bidens yesterday to pay their respects. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has officially kicked off his presidential campaign. He launched his bid for the Republican presidential nomination this morning right there in central South Carolina. Graham told reporters today, quote, "I'm ready. I want to be president to defeat the enemies that are all trying to kill us."
In Nebraska, an employee at Omaha Zoo is recovering after being bitten by a Komodo dragon. The reptile keeper was just giving some routine care when she was bitten on the hand by the 4-foot, 10-pound lizard. The worker was treated by a nurse there at the zoo, and then they took her to the hospital for additional treatment. She has since been released. And that's a look at stories making news across America here at 4 o'clock.
Certified Atlanta's most accurate forecast. Now, CBS 46 Chief Meteorologist Jim Kosek.
Showers and thunderstorms, 'tis the season, right? And typical spring humidity for all of us. That's going pretty much nowhere for the rest of the work week. But when you take a look at the overall picture via our CBS 46 Doppler radar, take note where the core of lightning is strung out from Troup County, that part of LaGrange, over toward parts of Paulding, eventually getting into Putnam County, but now more Jasper on northbound. There's some clusters of storms right along 85, but farther to the northwest, not a whole lot happening here. We're going to keep tabs on this broken band of developing showers, thunder showers in Alabama, but the lion's share of the precipitation is south and east of the city, and that's exactly the area where there certainly can be isolated severe weather, if not any flooding downpours. Namely, look at the size of these storms right here, just off to the south and southeast. The LaGrange headed off to the northeast at 20-25 miles per hour, and additional storms parts of Spalding County, farther to the south, Lamar, Pike, Upson County, past Henry County, off to the north and east, getting farther off to the north and around the Mansfield area, west of Godfrey. They'll continue to roll here. Much like I said, they're all in a line running southwest to northeast at 20-25 miles per hour. So you get that hard downpour of rain. Lets up for a little bit. Another one comes in. Lets up, another one. So over the course of the afternoon and evening, say over a 6-hour stretch, you may have 2 inches worth of rainfall, including the storms that are just off to the south of, well, in around Social Circle, that part of Walton County, getting farther off to the south and east, and just off to the southwest of Athens, but it'll come in this area here, and this is going to continue to kind of parallel Interstate 85. Farther to the north, just some rain showers, Rabun, Habersham counties over the road toward Floyd County. Some lightning showing up south and east of Rome, but again, the lion's share of everything is south and east of the city today. That's going to change a little bit during the course of tomorrow. The reason why I say that, there's an area of low pressure right here, east of Memphis. Counterclockwise winds around area of low pressure. So that's what's helping to draw up all this Gulf moisture. The axis of this will continue southeast of the city tomorrow, but with that low pressure riding due eastbound, some storms will fire north of the city as well. Anybody could get a thunderstorm this evening and tomorrow, but the worst is going to be southeast and north, bar none. Now, that area of low pressure really isn't going to settle off to our east until Friday. That's how painfully slow it's going to move. So it's the impetus for additional storms to keep firing each and every day, primarily with the heating of the day, and that's going to be during the afternoon and evening hours. So if you're out and about, sure, every day has a percentage of thunderstorm, but the main coverage area is this evening, and then again during the course of tomorrow afternoon and evening. After that, the percentages fall off, and once the axis of that low pressure heads off to our east, which is later Thursday night, most, if not all of Friday is probably rain-free. But there's another cool front that's going to drop in later this weekend. That's the impetus to have an uptick in terms of thunderstorm coverage this weekend, more Sunday as opposed to Saturday. So if you have outdoor plans, the morning hours are going to be your best bet during the weekend. That's kind of unfortunate because I know a lot of us like to sleep in over the weekend, but if you want to get some outdoor work done, you got to hit the alarm, Scott, fortunately.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Or just postpone it.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Just forget about it.
Make the kids do it.
Make my 2 boys get out there and work for their allowance. All right, let's move along from gray clouds to this. How about more 50 Shades of Grey?
Well, if you're a fan of the steamy romance novels, get ready for a whole new ride because the author, E.L. James, has announced the release of her new book simply called Grey. This is the cover of it. The book will be told from Christian Grey's point of view and will be released on June 18th. Now, filming is already underway for the second movie installment of the original series, 50 Shades Darker.
Okay.
I read the books, but I haven't seen any of the movies.
Okay. My wife didn't get through the book.
They're not the most well-written books.
That's what I've heard.
They're interesting, but I have not seen the movies, so I don't know if this is just maybe a way to capitalize on that popularity. Let me write it from another point of view.
Oh, sure.
But I'm sure it'll make a mint.
Gazillions of dollars out there. You know what? Soon it will be more difficult to keep up with the Kardashians. Real news from the power couple of reality TV. Next.
Also, it's a hard habit to break, but if you want to quit smoking once and for all, we'll show you the 6 most effective ways to do it. That's next.
You know, we've known for decades that smoking can take years off of your life and cause a multitude of serious health problems. Despite that, the CDC says more than 42 million Americans still light up. If you're trying to kick the habit, there is some help. Holly Furfer is here and has the 6 most scientifically proven methods to quit.
Let's face it, quitting smoking is hard. In fact, 90% of those who try to quit start up again within 3 months. However, studies have found 6 methods that can increase your chances of success. First, financial incentives. A new study shows that if your money is at risk, you'll put down the cigarette. A program through CVS will have people deposit $50, and that money grows the longer they don't smoke. If they do, they lose their money. Next, cold turkey. 4 to 7% of smokers have kicked the habit without any additional help. However, you have to be mentally and physically ready for the withdrawal symptoms. Number 3, find company. Around half of those who tried to quit with a partner succeeded. It seems positive peer pressure works. Next is nicotine replacement therapy. That's the patch, gums, and other products aimed at weaning you off the nicotine. That helps you overcome the cravings and withdrawal symptoms. There's also prescription drugs. Some studies show they can double your chances of quitting compared to not taking the drugs at all. And finally, e-cigarettes. The jury may still be out on this method, but at least one study has shown they're slightly more effective than the nicotine patch. For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
Some big names in the news this afternoon. The world will soon have another Kardashian to keep up with. Kim Kardashian revealed she is expecting her second child with husband and rapper Kanye West. The reveal came during last night's mid-season finale of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The couple, as you probably know by now, welcomed their first child North in June of 2013. Singer Enrique Iglesias is recovering after a drone sliced his hand during a concert. He was performing Saturday night in Mexico when he reached up to grab the drone. He wanted to take some crowd shots with it, but he dropped it quick and his hand started bleeding. You can see his red hands and his red t-shirt. Now, the singer was told to stop the show, but he kept on going. Afterwards, he flew to LA to see a specialist.
This is the first picture we are seeing of Bruce Jenner as her. He says to call him Caitlyn. This photo is his debut as a transgender woman, and it will be the cover of Vanity Fair coming out in July. According to the magazine, Jenner spoke emotionally about his gender journey, saying, quote, this: "If I was lying on my deathbed and I had to keep this secret and never ever did anything about it, I would be lying there saying, you just blew your entire life."
Well, the pictures and the conversation has taken over Twitter and Facebook.
Absolutely.
And the pictures are stunning, but it takes a while to sort of get there because for him it's been a longer journey, but for a lot of his fans and I know his family, it takes a while to see it and know how to feel about it.
The photos shot, not shot by Annie Leibovitz.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the most famous photographers out there.
Great pictures.
It is.
Check them out tonight.
You bet.
Yeah. There's a student in Alabama that didn't make the grades.
It was just like, just went. It started telling exactly what he did.
Well, now it looks like he will trade the classroom for a prison cell, confessing to a crime. That's next.
Some serious flooding over parts of Forsyth County during the course of yesterday. Will we see a repeat performance over the next couple of days? We'll take a look at the weather coming up in just a little bit from now.
You're watching CBS 46 News. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.